Welcome, writers, game masters, and creatives to the World Builders Tavern. Today we are talking about Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Hopefully you listened to our episode about Season 1 and 2, because we are diving right back in. If you haven't watched Seasons 1, 2, or 3, do be warned, we are going to have spoilers here. But we hope that you will grab an ale, pull up a chair, and talk about it with us. I'm Emma, your friendly barkeep, along with Allison.
Hello.
And Christiana.
Bonsoir.
And we are so happy to have you here. Cheers!
Cheers!
So, The Mandalorian is an American space western TV series on Disney+. In Season 3, Din Djarin, who is our titular Mandalorian, is reunited with Grogu and the rest of his Mandalorian clan. They help Bo-Katan, a Mandalorian from a different tribe, unite the fractured Mandalorians across the galaxy in an attempt to reclaim their lost planet of Mandalore. Meanwhile, the New Republic struggles to keep the galaxy at peace, and an Imperial faction is on the rise. There's definitely a lot going on in this season. It is jam-packed.
Yeah.
I'm sad to say that I did not like this season as much
Really?
as the previous two.
Interesting.
And I also, here's a big fat spoiler.
Get started off hot with a spoiler.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's less a spoiler. Maybe like a controversial opinion.
A hot take. Let's go.
I don't know if Din is the titular Mandalorian.
Oh, you think maybe Bo-Katan has taken it?
I think maybe Bo-Katan or maybe Grogu.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
Din
true.
Isn't
He is
really
the
the main
foundling.
character in this season.
He isn't.
He took a back
he isn't
seat
the
this
main
season
character.
for sure.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
And so we will let our listeners know we are recording this on April 18th. So it is actually the day before the season finale for Season 3. We were hoping to record it afterwards, but due to personal scheduling, we just couldn't do it. So instead, we're going to record today. And at the end, we're going to make some predictions about what we think is going to happen in the finale. And then
you
we'll
can
find
laugh
out if we're
at
right.
how wrong we are when this episode airs.
Marvel at our psychic abilities if we get
Or
it.
that. Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a departure in that the first two seasons were a lot more kind of episodic, and the stakes were on a smaller scale. Like, it was mostly about this guy and his kid, and rescuing the kid and going on little standalone adventures with the kid. And then all of a sudden in Season 3, it's no, now we're retaking a planet and we're refounding our civilization, and these huge factions of politics, which were in the background in the first two seasons, are really kind of moving around now.
Although I don't know if that's the main issue I had with it. So
Okay,
it's actually funny that you talk about like how the first two seasons are very episodic and this one wasn't, which is true. And yet I felt like this season was a lot more disjointed than the previous seasons. It didn't feel like it flowed together.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely, Allie. I think it wasn't until maybe the episode where, like, at least the third episode, I kind of got like more with like Doctor Pershing and everything.
That was a great episode.
I could go on an entire rant about that episode, but I'll hold it for now. And a good rant about that episode. But it felt very much like so much setup.
Yeah.
And you were waiting so long for it to connect and pay off. And that was kind of the thing that I felt where I'm like, okay, this thing is happening. Okay, this thing is happening. And then this thing is happening. Yeah.
I'm still trying to decide how I feel about the Doctor Pershing episodes, because I was excited to talk about it on the podcast when I saw it, because I'm like, this is a really strange choice that they made to suddenly not be showing the Mandalorians perspective or Grogu and going to these weird side characters. Well, not weird, they're fine. And I really liked some of the things that the episode did. Like, it gave us some more backstory into like living in the world of Star Wars, the universe of Star Wars after the Imperial after the New Republic has taken over. And I really liked that. I'm like, this is a really interesting world building going on. I don't like it, I think, as far as cohesive story structure for this show.
That's
so
fair.
I felt like kind of torn about it.
Can I go on my quick little rant
Yes, go
about
for it.
why I love this episode? Okay.
Yeah.
We
I
may fast forward
agree.
it in post if this goes really fast, just because it took 20 minutes, and we'll just get Jason, our editor, to just, like, 3 times it.
Yeah. I'll try to be quick. I agree entirely with your point, Allie, that it feels almost like it doesn't belong
Yeah.
in this episode, or in this season, I should say. But as we reviewed and discussed Annihilation
Mhm.
from Jeff Vandermeer, the second book, Authority, is entirely about bureaucratic nonsense. And as
Hang
someone who
on.
worked
Just a little side note, that episode we hasn't aired yet. So that's an upcoming
Oh,
episode.
okay. Okay, upcoming
Yeah.
episode,
We're
we talk
recording these
about
out of
this.
order.
Yeah.
Yeah, upcoming episode, we talk about the first novel in the Southern Reach trilogy. The second novel in the Southern Reach trilogy is very much about bureaucratic nonsense, and as
Mm.
someone who has worked in government for a very long time, I get bizarrely excited when a sci-fi or fantasy story talks about how much of a nightmare it would be
Mm. Yeah.
politically and
Mhm,
bureaucratically. And
mhm,
so I really enjoyed that, like the forced interview with the droid who isn't
mhm,
Yep.
even a person, and you have to like answer these things, and it's like so frustrating and so stupid, and like you're
mhm,
going through all of these things. And I just personally love things like that, because that's my lived experience, right? Like I've sat through too many meetings in my life where I'm like, are we really like, why is this a 3-hour meeting? I
uh-huh.
literally had one today, a full day meeting where I'm like, why is this even a discussion? Why are we meeting for 5 hours to say, don't do the thing that hurts people? Right? Like,
Mm,
why is that like such a fundamental part of
mhm,
these kind of oppressive organizations?
mhm,
And so I really liked it for that reason, but I totally agree. It feels very out of place. And I hate
Mhm.
using the term filler, because I think people often misuse it.
mhm,
Like filler, when you think filler episode, you think people just like they didn't have anything else to write. It's just fluff, whatever. This
Mhm.
provides a lot of important context, but it did also feel a little disjointed where I was like, okay, I loved it as a standalone,
Yeah.
phenomenal,
Yeah.
but how does it actually tie into anything
Yeah,
else?
same. Like you could have
ooh,
pulled this
I
out.
have a thought.
Go ahead, Emma.
I
Okay.
think so I really loved this episode, and actually one of the reasons I think season 3 didn't land for me as much, because I do agree that I like the other 2 better, I think it is
Mhm.
because I preferred the episodic. So one,
Mhm.
I really like that kind of return to, "Oh, this is a standalone episodic one."
Yeah.
But I do think it also connects because I think it works to give the story stakes in
Yeah.
that we are shown some of the cracks in the New Republic, like the fact that they're
Yes.
scrapping perfectly good machinery. It's because they don't have time to fill it out. It's like bureaucratic, and like it's not a perfect utopian society. And so I think
Mm.
that gives us stakes because they say later on there's a discussion between the imperial generals talking about, well, there are people still loyal to us who will rise up, and that I think is given more weight because we see why they might. Like we see, oh yeah, the New Republic might not be all it's cracked up to be. This is why people might actually support the imperial forces and why this could be a legitimate threat, because we're usually just
Yeah.
shown the imperial
Yeah.
forces as like, oh, they're purely evil. Why would anybody want to follow them? How could it even possibly be credulous that anybody would rise up
Yeah.
and support them? Now we kind of see why. So I think that might give it more stakes. It does also, I think, really hinge on that last episode and to kind of see what happens with it. Oh, also, of course, the fact that the New Republic literally brainwashes someone, which is a
Oh
horrific
my gosh.
treatment of somebody.
That
And like,
I
so
had a
clearly the New Republic
oh.
is not great. Like, they also
that's
suck,
my
right? So,
that's my theory for the last episode. But I will
ooh.
say I think episode 6 does a
Mm-hmm.
better job of that, of
Mm,
the malfunctioning droids and everything
Yes.
like that. Like
Yeah.
you could have done it in a way that it wasn't the entire focus of the episode. Like I said, I still absolutely adore this episode. It's one of my favorite episodes, but as a writer, I can kind of step back and say this felt a touch out of place.
That
You know, like this.
brainwashing scene, I had such a hard time watching
so
that. I
messed
was
up.
like,
It was
Yeah.
why
messed
does
up.
the dial even go up that high if it's not supposed to be used that way? Come on,
Yeah.
people.
That's what I mean, but it could have also been just a scene. I'm not saying it should have been because, like I said, I adore this episode. This
Yeah.
was one of my favorite episodes. But like I said, also being able to step back as a writer and say, you know, I felt like it was custom made for me as someone who worked in government for way too long.
That's
I mean,
wonderful.
I was like, this hit a very small target audience. And I'm part of it, and I loved it.
I
But
agree with everything
yeah.
you have both said, though. Like, it was a really good episode, but it didn't really fit with the rest of the.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will just add one tiny thing: the eating the glowing popsicles made me really
that's
happy.
great.
Yeah.
I just really liked that.
That was a lovely world building touch.
Yeah.
Is just have weird foods.
Weird food. Yeah.
And also, the peak of the mountain on this is like a deep cut. I think it's The Light of the Jedi, one of the latest novels. I say latest. I've been in grad school and have not read a lot since then.
Novels in the past.
But like a couple of
5
years
years.
ago, they did
Yeah.
The Light of the Jedi, and the peak of the mountain still being accessible on Coruscant was kind of like part of the plot. So I liked it.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
always like saying I clap because I recognize it kind of thing in Star Wars where I'm like, oh, I know that thing. Yay, I gotta clap. Like,
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay, I really want to talk about the two Mandalorian groups, and
Yes.
specifically
Yes.
the Mandalorian. I'm gonna call them a cult because they kind of are.
Yeah.
The armorers and Din's group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a scene. So Din gets to join back in his group, which I kind of hoped that he wouldn't, because I kind of thought that he would realize that taking off his helmet and like sharing looks with Grogu and stuff was meaningful.
Mhm.
And more important than arbitrary rules that he's been taught. So I was a little surprised that he went back to the cult and like worked so hard to get back in.
Their official name is Children of the Watch.
Children of the Watch. Thank you. I'm going to call it that instead. Children of the Watch. Okay.
Yes.
So I was a little bit disappointed, but I also understand that this is his family and it's where he feels he belongs.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there's the episode where they welcome Bo-Katan into the Watch because she also bathed in the waters of the Mines of Mandalore, which is kind of awesome. And she hasn't taken off her helmet yet, and so they're like, welcome. And that was awesome. And then there's that scene where the armorer calls Bo-Katan in and tells her to remove her helmet. And I want to know what you two thought of that.
I had really liked seeing Bo-Katan start to kind of like the Children of the Watch, because initially it's very clear that kind of the rest of the Mandalorians, or at least her group, think that this Children of the Watch are zealots and fanatics, and there's nothing worthwhile about their customs, and they're just kind of fringe crazies. And then once she gets accepted by them, you see her sort of start to see some of the value in the like community and having people who all, believe the same things and who are willing to sacrifice themselves for each other and that sort of thing. So it was nice to see her kind of see, oh, well, this may not all be bad and extreme. And so then to have her kind of forcibly removed from that by being told to take off her helmet, felt bad. I get why, but it feels like she's being used as a pawn, and it makes me sad, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a trap. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're not
like,
worthy. You took it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the armorer was going to be like, remove your helmet. You have to remove your helmet. We're all going to be together. And then Bo-Katan would remove her helmet, and then the armorer would be like, gotcha, bitch.
Yeah. Remove your helmet. Yeah.
You removed your helmet. Like, I was really expecting that.
I found it hard to believe that a woman who has so adamantly believed that you shouldn't remove your helmet that she forced
Yeah.
Din to go do this ritual and bathe in these waters when she didn't even think that those waters existed anymore. Like she thought she was kicking him out. Would suddenly be okay with it, you know?
Yeah.
It's a very, I don't know, as someone who's like seen religious fanatics, for a better term, or like religious fundamentalists and the way they behave, it just didn't feel realistic to me. Like there's no way that she would be okay with this. And then I was also confused, like, is she asking Bo-Katan to bring the Mandalorians here so that they become a part of the Watch? Like, are they going to be forced to put their helmets on, or is she saying that they can live together peaceably, which I like, but it also doesn't feel very realistic for a cult to say that.
Maybe it's the like perspective of them being a cult, because I don't really see them as a cult, and then it doesn't really seem as out of character to me. Like, they have some customs that are seemed strange by the others, but we really only see them as being strange because the other Mandalorians are like, well, that's strange and weird and you're extreme. But I'm trying to think of, I'm sure there's other examples in Star Wars of other alien cultures that, do something and you're like, oh, that's odd. I mean, Grogu eats eggs, eats this woman's fish egg babies, which is, perhaps not the best thing. And like, yes, there's certainly undertones like it being too extreme, like, once you're out, you're banished forever and there's no redemption and there's no grace.
It
and like
seemed
that's
very,
problematic.
very extreme, especially because like, what if you were forced to take your helmet off? What if it happened like someone walked on you accidentally? I'm not sure. Maybe there is a distinction made between if you do it on purpose, because I think she does ask him that when he does.
Because I think there's the have you ever taken off your helmet or allowed someone to take it off you? I think is the phrasing. I could be totally wrong, but so I would assume that maybe if someone like forcibly ripped it off your head, maybe there would be.
There's definitely I think also we need to acknowledge that this is a conversation of diaspora, and it is something that a lot of us don't experience. The hosts specifically, we haven't experienced that. But the closest thing that I could relate it to is that my family fled Ukraine 2 weeks before the Nazis invaded during the Second World War. And there is a distinct difference between my family in Ukraine and even just like small things like what we say on Easter in Ukrainian in Manitoba, because Manitoba has a large Ukrainian community versus what our family in Ukraine says on Easter, kind of thing, like in Ukrainian and that kind of thing. So like I really do think it's a conversation of again, diaspora, where it's like a culture that through oppression and violence is forcefully spread out, that kind of thing. So I have a lot of weird feelings, a lot of weird personal feelings about it where I see that and like, again, it's like entirely different. I think this is a pretty big, and I'm not Jewish, so I can't like comment on that. But I do see like the kind of correlation between Jewish communities, right? Like there are still some Jewish communities where it's you cover your hair, right? And things like that. And other Jewish communities you don't. And a lot of it is because you were being attacked. And the like genocide was actively happening against your community, and you did what you had to do to survive in the community that you had to move to. So I see a kind of different. Like I said, my first instinct with the armorer, where I was like, it's a trap. Like, And I was like, "Oh, no, they're being set up, like, this isn't a good thing."
Yeah.
Um, but then at the same time, it's like, maybe it is just this kind of conversation of it's more the differences can be set aside, what's more important is bringing the community back together
Mm.
Mhm. And, like, the fact that
kinda
maybe
thing.
the way, because they have mostly talked about the way in reference
Yeah,
to, like, the helmet, but we also see them
Yep.
talk about the way in, like, taking care of foundlings or,
Yeah.
exactly.
sacrificing themselves for
Yeah,
each other. So I think it's maybe, the broadening of our understanding of the way, or maybe even, like, what the characters think of as the way, and the
Yep.
armor being, like, there are maybe more important parts of our creed than the helmet.
I really
Uh,
like
yeah,
that read of it. Yeah.
that's kind of I'm, like, 50-50 on it,
yeah.
where I was like, "Okay, either this is a trap or it's someone who's recognizing our culture will die
Mhm.
if we don't
Yes.
accept different
Yeah.
sects
Yeah.
and different beliefs and that kinda thing."
We also do see a little bit of, maybe not extremism to the same way, but, like, the Bo-Katan sect is really hung up on Mandalorian blood, right? They're like, well, Din
Yep.
Djarin's not a Mandalorian because he doesn't have
Yeah.
the blood of a Mandalorian. So, like,
Yep.
they also make their own kind of distinction about who and who is not a Mandalorian, but based on different criteria. That's kind of just as perhaps wrong, in a
Yep.
different way of exclusion, right? So
Yeah.
I did really love episode 7 where the two groups
Mm,
come together and they're like
yeah,
Yeah.
iffy at first and you're like, are they gonna fight? Are they gonna fight?
they do
And
fight, in
then
fact.
yeah. But
Yeah.
then Bo-Katan asks for volunteers from both groups and like everything's quiet for
Mhm.
a while and
Yeah.
then a few volunteer and then a bunch of people volunteer. I did
Yeah.
get the feels
Yeah.
in that episode. I
Yeah,
really
for
liked it.
sure.
Also, which episode was it? I think it was the episode before that. The one where they go rescue the folks from Navarro?
Yeah.
Navarre?
Uh
Navarro.
There's that scene where, Din Djarin is explaining why they should go help, and then the other Mandalorian stands up and says, "Well, why should we risk our lives? Blah blah blah." And he's like, "Well,
yeah.
because we're
Mhm.
Mandalorian," and then, like, flips it on its head, and
Oh,
they all
yeah,
come together to
Paz
go rescue.
Vizsla.
And I'm like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
love that." I think
Yes.
that made me tear up. I
That's
was
what
like,
I
"Oh, that's so powerful."
Yeah, you
I'm
totally
gonna
think he's gonna be like, we shouldn't go, and then
Yeah.
he
yeah.
flips it around.
I
Yeah.
saw it coming, I'm not gonna lie.
I
When
did
he
not.
first stood up and was like, "Why would we do this?" And I was like, and then if I were the writer, he would turn the page and he would say, "Because we're Mandalorians." And I literally turned to my spouse and said, "He's gonna say, 'Because we're Mandalorians.'" And that's exactly what happened. And I was like, "Ah, called it." Like,
That is actually an example of the way the show was connected. We've been complaining a
Mhm.
little bit about its disconnectedness, but that the Mandalorian kind of made an ally out of Paz Vizsla when they rescued his son in
Mhm.
an
Mhm.
earlier episode, which
Yeah.
I also thought was a bit of a weird episode, and that
Yeah.
didn't really connect to anything, but then it does here, so that's nice.
yeah. I do think ultimately that this goes back to my argument that I don't think Din is the Mandalorian.
Mm.
I think it's the Mandalorian as a race, like as a
Yeah.
people, as a
Yeah.
culture
In
kind of
this
thing.
season,
Like,
definitely.
Yeah.
yeah. And because I did notice in quite a few episodes where I was like, Din is just taking a back seat. Like,
Mhm.
he's
Yep.
really not
He's almost like Mad
anything.
Max in, like, the Mad Max film, where it's
Yes.
like he's there, he might be the main character kind of in the title, but he's not really the protagonist necessarily.
That is a phenomenal comparison, Gemma. I think that's like a really
Yeah.
great example. When you look at Mad Max Fury Road, it's not a story about Mad Max. He is the thread that
Mhm.
weaves all these stories together, but it's
Yeah.
not really about him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And I kind of feel the same with The Mandalorian this season, where it's
Yeah.
for better or for worse, it's not really about him. It's
Mhm.
kind of about the culture and the
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
and all of these stories that come together.
I gotta point out another fail for me at least that the
Allie is
writers made.
tearing this season
I
to
I
shreds.
just so critical.
To shreds.
Um
Go ahead.
so when Mando not Mando, when Din. He's not Mando anymore. When
Either way,
Din
people
Djarin,
still call him
yeah,
Mando.
it's true. Gives Bo-Katan the dark saber.
Mm.
Yeah.
They tried. I think the writers tried to set this up as a surprise, because that episode where he's captured in the mines happens at, I think that's episode 2.
I believe. Yeah.
I think you're supposed to have forgotten that happened because
I didn't.
No,
the whole time
I didn't.
I was like,
the
it's
whole
not his.
time. The whole time I was like, it's not his anymore. Like, 'cause she, like, I think you were supposed to or not notice or something. But everyone noticed and was like waiting for it. So it wasn't a surprise. I think that failed.
Could that possibly have been the intent though? Like, was it supposed to be a thing where you're waiting for the other shoe to drop?
Maybe.
You want to clue the audience in so they feel really smart when it gets revealed?
It's hard to. I felt more disappointed than smart though, like, because I wanted it to be. I wanted to be tricked, you know. Like,
yeah, that's true.
But maybe
I'm gonna take a moment to be a big dork about that episode.
Do it.
My goodness, was that character so cool. I was like, I want more human eyeballs and weird, like, cybernetic
that
build,
weird
but, like,
I
creature,
was kind like, of thing.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of General Grievous.
Yeah,
but like a more extreme version. Like General Grievous was still largely humanoid, even with the extra arms and everything. This was just like so weird.
Very creepy.
And as a fan of weird and creepy things, I was just like, yes.
Yeah.
I want more of this. Yeah. Like, give me more of this. Like, I was so hyped up on it, and I was hoping there would be more of them.
Yeah, when they go back to the planet. Like,
yeah, I was like, I want this to be a whole society of weird little human eyeball droids, human eyeball and brain droids. Like, I'm
glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring up world building sci-fi creatures. I feel like sometimes it's a little more challenging than fantasy because fantasy sort of has this base of mythology you can draw on already, and sci-fi is a little bit like, well, do we just do a sort of a dragon but not but call it something else?
Call it a raptor.
Call it a cradle dragon.
Yeah, which they did. Do we make a half cyborg, half animal, which they did.
Yeah.
And also I loved the mythosaur, and my guess, actually my wish for the finale, which will have aired when this episode goes live but hasn't yet, is that Bo-Katan like tames it and rides it like in the myth.
Oh my goodness. I literally said after I watched one of the episodes, I was like, if someone doesn't ride this mythosaur, I am setting fires in the street. Like,
be so disappointed,
causing a full-on riot.
I'll be right there with you.
It's for sure showing up, and hopefully with Bo-Katan on its back.
Exactly.
Or all of them, all of the Mandalorians on its back, or something. Just this massive.
It's big enough.
Yeah, they could all squish.
I agree with Christiana though. I really like how sci-fi can kind of combine tech with creatures.
Yeah.
I think that's
fun. And that
I mean,
creature was so like, you know, it's been thoroughly established. I'm the resident horror fan.
Yeah.
That was good and creepy and weird, and I just like the moment I saw it, I was like, more of this. Please and thank you. Like, I want the weirdest things, I want the creepiest things, and that felt so I'm gonna reference a horror movie that I don't know many people have seen, and you shouldn't watch it if you're not okay with gore. But it was like if Hostel, like, which is a movie about people being tortured, met sci-fi, where it's like, I want to see just an eyeball and a brain and a weird little droid that mines other people's eyeballs and brains. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the thing where I was like, oh, that's so cool. You don't see horror elements a lot in Star Wars. Like, it's pretty infrequent, and that was, I think, why it got me so excited. Is I was like, that's creepy. You don't see creepy a lot in Star Wars. And as a creep, I was like, yes,
Christiana's there for it.
Yeah.
I love when world-built creatures, you can look at them and you can kind of see exactly how they, like, got to be there or how they evolved or why they live in this environment, and I feel like I so got that from the weird, creepy droid thing, like,
Yes.
Yes.
this planet imploded, there's all this destruction and energy, and I could just, like, imagine the little, like, droid piecing itself together and, like, scavenging parts
Yeah.
from, like, people and machines, and it's just so evocative, and I love that for world building when the creature feels like it's really part of the world and, like,
Mhm.
makes sense in that
Yeah.
way, so, yeah, A+ Star Wars for the creepy droid thing.
I also
Yeah.
love creatures that have, like, long history, so much so they're like, "That's not real. We're not sure
Mm.
if that's real anymore." So I also love the
Yep.
mythosaur.
I love the
Yeah.
name of the mythosaur.
I
It's
know.
just
The
it's
mythosaur,
It's
perfect.
just
yeah.
so obvious. I'm like,
It's
It
a
yeah.
is,
mythical
yeah.
dinosaur.
But I
Hmm.
also really love the conversation of, like, the living waters. Like, that's
Mm.
Yes.
such a the fact that, like, the mythosaur, if you're looking at its anatomy, should be a mammal,
Mm.
right? Like, it shouldn't be an amphibian, it shouldn't
Mhm.
be a fish. Um, it's a mammal, and though there are underwater mammals like whales and things like that, um, it doesn't look like that. It's not built
Mm.
for living underwater.
Mhm.
So the concept of the living waters were something that's basically like, in my opinion, a giant llama with horns. Kind of like
Love it.
maybe the maybe the best way to describe it, can live, can exist and thrive in the living waters. That's that's some cool sci-fi. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
just awesome. Yeah.
And also the dinosaur turtle from episode 1. I just got Avatar: The
Yeah.
Last Airbender vibes
Yeah.
from that. So,
Yeah.
side note.
Yeah, they did great
A
creature
lot of
building.
cool creatures
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
this.
There was a world building trope that they kind of turned on their head a little bit that I really liked in the episode that cameoed Lizzo and Jack Black, which first
Oh
of
my
all
god.
is
Yes.
amazing.
Can I
Um
scream about that for a second?
Yes, go
I
ahead.
literally, I think I tweeted, "The scream I scrumped." Like, when I saw that, I was like, "Jack Black," and then it panned over slightly, and I was like, "Lizzo," and I, like, absolutely lost my mind, and I think that's one thing that Star Wars does so well, is you could just be so goofy with it sometimes. Like, sometimes you need a little relief.
Yep.
Sometimes you need Jack Black with his magnificent beard,
I
being a diplomat, and sometimes you need Lizzo cuddling baby Grogu, and it was
Oh.
just, like, so perfect and stupid and wonderful, and that's one of the things I love about Star Wars so much, is that it could be so serious, and then the next episode could just be so ridiculously stupid with their cameos. Like, I was just losing my mind. I actually had to pause it and be like, "Is that actually Lizzo? Like, am I losing my mind?" Like, I was so pleased.
I saw so
Anyways.
many people screaming about the cameos before I had watched it on social media.
Yeah.
And I got all
Yeah.
excited because I thought they meant Star Wars cameos. Like I was going to
Mm.
see some
No.
characters
Yeah.
that I
Characters.
loved. And then I was actually a little disappointed because it
Ah!
was a different
That's
type of
fair.
cameo
Yeah.
than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did love
And
in that
also
oh,
Doc
sorry.
Brown
Oh, yeah, that
as
was fun too.
the
Yes.
security, like,
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, there's just so many, like, I have fun with it because I know it's celebrities who love Star Wars
Mm.
who are like, "I have this opportunity to be a character
Yeah.
and have so much fun with
Yep.
it, and it's like a highlight of my life,"
Mhm.
kinda thing,
Well,
and then
also
I feel that with them, where I
yeah.
see them and I'm like, "Ah, I'm so happy for Lizzo, I'm so
You get to
happy for
be in this
Doc Brown, I'm so
franchise.
happy for." Yeah, exactly.
The uh the character who played Jar Jar Binks also made a cameo in this. I
Oh, I
don't remember what
didn't
his
know
name
Oh,
was, but
yes.
he was the Jedi that like rescued Grogu
that.
at the beginning of
Oh,
that one
that's so
episode.
nice.
And
Oh,
I've
that's
seen
Yes.
stuff
really
about how we all know that nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, and people were absolutely
nice.
horrible to him after the prequels. And
Aw.
so it's really nice that he got to experience like kind of a redemption. Not that he needed one, but like, he got to like have a more joyful filled Star
Yes.
Wars role, I think
His
is
name
really
is
nice.
Ahmed Best,
Yes, thank you.
And yeah, the moment I saw him, I started crying because I
Yeah.
know he
Aw.
was like bullied off of
Mhm.
social media and out of acting and things like that. And I saw him and I was like,
You
I'm
deserve this.
99% certain that's Ahmed Best. And I made
Mhm.
my spouse pause the episode. And then as
Aw.
soon as it was confirmed, I was like, he deserves this. Like I just
Yeah,
started
it
crying.
was
Like,
It's
wonderful.
kind of terrible how awful some of the actors have been treated. Like the actor
Oh,
for little
yeah.
Anakin
yeah,
and
Yep,
teenager Anakin
yep.
were really
yeah.
bullied. I was really glad to see Hayden Christensen come back for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Kelly Marie Tran was also bullied off of social media. Like so many.
Mhm,
That's kind of like my one thing with Star Wars fans,
Mhm.
where it's like, don't take it so
Be
literally.
kind, people. It
yeah. Be
hurts
nice to like,
nobody.
separate the actors from their characters also, like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
And so, yeah.
Anyway,
There was a world building thing in the episode with Lizzo and Jack Black, and before we got really excited about the casting.
yeah.
But I liked in that episode there was, the whole thing where he talks about how, oh, if I shut down all the droids, nobody on this planet would know how to function because they're all too busy like
Yes.
record. But I kind of liked that wasn't really held up by the narrative. Like nobody in the narrative was like, oh yeah, these people all suck, they're so frivolous. It was just kind of like, this is how this planet is, and it's kind of nice because there is actually nothing
Yeah.
wrong with enjoying your life and pursuing art and not selling your labor to a corporation. And usually
Yeah.
I feel like that's how sci-fi trope goes. It's like, oh, this planet has devolved into just, hedonism and endless joy, and isn't
Shopping.
this terrible?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so it's kind of nice to just be like, no, it's actually fine, and this is a nice place to live, and
That's
we should
a
fix these
great
robots.
yeah, that's a great point because I kept waiting for the shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, "They're gonna be evil
Yes,
in
yeah,
some capacity," and then when they weren't, I was like, "That's just I feel good."
I
yeah.
Like, I feel
I
lovely,
actually I
like
thought they were gonna make a deeper point about
Mm-hmm.
droid slavery in that show because we
mm,
Yeah.
were
that's a
watching
fair
and
point.
I asked my
Yeah.
husband as we were watching, I'm like, are droids like uh
Sentient.
sentient in Star Wars? Like are they
Yeah.
and then the next scene they were in a bar and it was a
Yeah,
droid bar.
Yeah.
And I
it
was
did
like, yeah,
raise
they
some
totally are. And they kind of it looked like it was gonna touch on like
Yep.
slavery and droid, and then it just didn't. And I was a little bit disappointed
Yeah.
that
I
it didn't
feel
do
like
that.
That's
maybe
fair.
that's a seed for a future season. Like I think because there
Maybe.
also has been the recurring thing about Din's whole issue with droids and that he hates droids and stuff,
Yep.
which has kind of been an undercurrent but never really had a direct confrontation or like come to a head. So I feel like maybe they might have that. My hope would be that they would address that more in a future
Yeah,
season
I
because
hope
it
they do too.
seems because yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely was a little bit uncomfortable. Where I was like, "Oh, these droids are enjoying
They are
themselves." That's
definitely
yeah,
Yeah.
self-aware.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So where are the droid rights?
Anyway, we
Yeah.
have to move on. We could keep talking for
Do we?
hours. But we should probably go on to our proprietor's pick for the day. So if you liked The Mandalorian, you might also like The Splinter in the Sky by Kimi Ashingiwa. This is a book coming on July 11, 2023, which is in about 3 months. And here's the summary. The dust may have settled in the war of conquest between the Holy Velbaran Empire and the Omnirish Republic, but the Empire's surrender means little, especially to a lowly scribe like Anitan. Given her country's continuing status as a Valbaran province, all she wants is to quit her day job and expand her fledgling tea business. But when Imperial agents assassinate her lover and abduct her sibling, Anitan abandons her idyllic plans and embarks on a rescue mission, weaving her tea tray up through the heart of the Valbaran capital. Her enemies are countless, clever, and powerful beyond measure. There's a new god emperor on the throne, and her reign promises to change the continent forever. And as Anitan sinks deeper into the Empire's bloody conspiracies, she discovers just how far she's willing to go to exact vengeance, save her sibling, and perhaps even restore her homeland's freedom. So this gave me Star Wars vibes a
Yeah, I
little
was
bit.
gonna say,
Yeah.
especially with kind of restoring
Mhm.
Mandalore,
Yes.
which
Mhm.
is like the main theme of this season.
Yeah.
It's so
Mhm.
good. Yeah.
Restoring your homeland. And then just the little bit
Mhm.
about the tea business just sounded
Yes!
amazing to me.
It's
That
like
Yeah.
nothing to
Uncle
do with Star Wars,
Iroh
but
in
yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It made me very happy.
What, age level is this book for?
I think it's an adult.
Okay. And you had another proprietor's pick about a tea shop, right?
Oh yeah, the Tea Dragon Society. It's just a graphic
Yes.
novel.
Yeah.
So apparently I just really like
Allie
tea.
loves tea.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Or at least she loves reading about tea.
I do. I
I
also love
also
drinking
love, yeah, I was gonna
tea.
say tea is a big part of my life. So
I'm just double checking whether this is adult. It's not tagged as a YA, and usually
So then it's
they
probably an
are, so
adult
I think
book.
it's adult. It's also tagged with LGBT and queer and
Amazing.
space opera, so that
yeah.
makes me excited about it.
Ooh, that sounds
Space
cool.
opera?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's Star Wars. There you
Yep.
Okay, I was
go.
gonna say that's Star Wars. Star Wars is a space opera as a
Um,
queer person.
so this
Luke
sounds,
wearing them
yeah.
Chanel boots
Yes.
in episode 6. I choose to believe he's queer.
Yes.
Uh, yeah.
So
I
if you
also
end up reading this book, please tell us. And I'm
Yes.
actually excited.
Mhm.
I want to talk about some of the books we've done in the proprietors picks next
Mhm.
season. I think that could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll pick a couple of them.
We'll see how similar they were to the original franchises
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Allie based the recommendation on. Awesome. Well, yes, before we launch back into another long tirade about Star Wars, we'll have to wrap things up, unfortunately. So we are going to have last call here with our concluding questions or thoughts about what you can learn from season 3 of The Mandalorian and apply to your world building. Allie, what do you got?
Oh my goodness. We talked about so many things. I don't even
There's
know
so
where to
much.
start.
There's so much.
Um I'll do when you're building a sci-fi creature into your world.
Mm.
Take inspiration from Star Wars on how you could maybe incorporate technology into a creature, like how that creepy eyeball cyborg thing was done. I think that was really neat. But then how you can also take more of a fantasy angle with something like the Mythosaur and give it a big backstory, a big mysterious backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I will say, I think I may have said something like this before, but I'm going to say it again because I think that Mandalorian does it really well, and it's also one of my favorite things in world building is don't make your culture monolithic. Make it have
Yeah.
groups, make it have subgroups, make them
Yeah.
see things differently, make them have conflicts and similarities and stupid human or alien prejudices where we dislike each other for stupid reasons that don't actually exist
Yeah.
and no outsider would ever notice. It just makes your culture and your society feel so much more real, and it provides a
Yeah.
really organic mechanism for conflict and for your characters to like have self-reflection and growth, and it's just so good. So chef's kiss to The Mandalorian this season for all of its perhaps stumbles. I think it did that really, really well,
Yeah.
and I think that we can all apply that to our world building.
Mm-hmm. I guess my question would be, if you are relating a story to a real life community, are you a part of it? Are you correctly capturing what that experience looks like? Are you talking to the people who are part of it? Are you hiring sensitivity readers? Like that's something that I see a lot with The Mandalorian is with diaspora and communities and things like that. So it's if you're taking influence from something, it's very worthwhile to talk to members of that community, even if it's just
Particularly if that community is like oppressed or
exactly. Yeah. So like even if it's just like a take on that community or inspired by it or anything like that, talk to that community. See what the actual feelings are like, see what the actual experience is like, that kind of thing.
Not only
yeah.
will that make be a good person thing to do, and you're not causing harm
Yeah.
to communities. But it also
Exactly.
will make
Yeah.
your writing better because you will learn
Yeah.
things that you just don't know because you're not a part of that
Exactly.
community. So recognize the
Exactly.
things you don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a common fault in writing is people say write what you know.
Mm,
But sometimes you have to write about things that you don't know,
I mean,
mhm.
fantasy
right?
and sci-fi is
Especially in
all
yeah,
about
yeah.
writing what
Yeah,
you don't
sci-fi,
know.
fantasy, it's like all of these things that you don't know. If you're taking um inspiration from something that exists in society, take a moment, have a
Mhm.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And
we talk
pay them also.
yes,
It's like
yes.
that. I was gonna say, like, if you like I work for an indigenous organization, if you are talking to an elder
Mm, mhm.
about their experience, compensate them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like there it's called honoraria.
Mhm.
Like if you are talking to someone about their cultural and lived experiences, find a way to compensate them if it's outside of things like sensitivity readers and things like that. Like it's
Yeah.
always be respectful of the cultures that you're pulling from
Mhm.
and always like life is hard.
Yeah.
So,
And you'll recognize that you're benefiting from people's labor when they're
exactly.
telling you
Yeah,
their stories
exactly.
and
Yeah,
pay
it's
them
a
for it. Yeah.
huge yeah, it's a huge emotional labor
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
people to share personal stories. So,
Yeah.
if you're pulling from a personal experience that you don't have, pay them,
Mhm.
take them out to dinner,
Mhm.
respect their culture, respect their practices, give them tobacco, give them whatever they need to kind of feel respected in that situation. And a lot of people will be pleased to know
Mhm.
that those stories are being told. So just,
Mhm.
yeah.
We had a I think a longer conversation about that in our first episode when we were talking about good omens. So
Hmm.
if you listener haven't heard that episode and you're interested in hearing more about how to write things that are not your own culture, or should you write things that are not your own culture, go check out that episode.
You can remember back to
Hmm.
the first episode? I have no memory of that.
I think I only remember it because I listened to our previous episodes to get nuggets of wisdom that I then tweet on our Twitter. So that's why that is
Yeah.
still in my brain.
I think just the main lesson is if you're writing outside of your own experience, remember that there are people
Yes.
behind that. I
Yeah.
think that's like the main thing.
Yeah.
So,
Totally. These are all things to ponder, to consider, to take to heart when you are building your own world. But now we are closing. Thank you so much for joining us at the tavern. We hope to serve you here again soon, but right now you gotta scram. See ya.
get out of
Bye.
here.